Head coach John Tillman has Maryland prepared to battle. Last season, his Terrapins rolled over conference competition here, roaring to victories, which made them Big Ten tournament champs. Logan Wisnauskas returns to State College tonight, pacing the highest scoring team in the country. Jeff Tambroni leads the Nittany Lions' quest to quiet the Terps. Only once before has Penn State tasted success at the hands of Maryland, when the Lions were number 1 in the land in 2019. Jack Kelly was the hero that night, and he has dreams of a repeat performance. This evening, the top-ranked Terrapins of Maryland bring their number 1 status to Happy Valley, where the Penn State Nittany Lions hope to provide a shocking end to the weekend with college lacrosse on Big Ten Network. It's great to see you again, along with Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. After walloping Virginia, Maryland enters this game as a clear favorite. Mark, what do the Terps have to do to avoid a human nature type letdown?
Focus, and that's what John Tillman has been preaching all week to his Maryland Terrapins, and the realization that this is Big Ten play. Anything is possible, and they take on an opponent tonight that might be 2-6, but they've knocked off Yale. 1-goal losses each to Penn and Cornell. This is a capable Penn State team.
As far as the netminders are concerned, Mark, let's start at the Maryland end. Logan McNaney growing his game, gaining in confidence.
He really is, and he set the tone for that big win over Virginia a week ago for Maryland.
The Nittany Lions are going to counter with Alaric Fayok, a big man who, when he gets on a roll, the Nittany Lions tend to feed off of him.
His greatest 6 win over Yale, where he had over 20 saves against the Bulldogs. He is going to have to be on point and ready tonight against this proficient Maryland offense.
The Terps have a number of guys who will threaten the Penn State goalie, led by their number 1.
Logan Wisnauskas just continues to dazzle, continues to lead this Maryland offense that is so balanced and so deep. This is a Terp team that gets multiple goal scorers 6 or 7 different ways.
Hudson Bond meets Luke Weirman at the face-off X, and Weirman, who has been fantastic this season, gets Maryland the opening possession in the black jerseys. Officials Matt Palem, Scott McCall, and Keith Glock presiding over this Big Ten season opener. The Terps at 7-0. Penn State checking in at 2-6 for Sunday night lacrosse. We are glad you've tuned in on Big Ten Network. Long hovering, looking for Wisnauskas off of his cross. The Nittany Lions with the first defensive stop, and the clear for Kevin Parnham down an alleyway, finding Matt Costin. And this is a Penn State squad, Mark, that has been dealing with a lot of injuries.
A ton of injuries. It has been a virtual mash unit for Jeff Tambroni and his Penn State team thus far in 2022. Some pieces are getting healthy, starting to come back. They still miss a couple of key pieces, but tonight they look to just put it all together.
One of those pieces has the ball right now, Mark Sickler. Happy to have this powerful midfielder in the lineup. Circling it up, 35 seconds on the shot clock. Rayom steps to the interior and fires. McNaney with a confident first stop.
Yeah, he just read it all the way. Not a bad shot from Rayom. Tried to split the defense. Probably should have bounced that a little farther out from the feet of McNaney, who is just so good in his position and his fundamentals and the way he makes clean saves. So critical to his success.
Head coach for Penn State, Jeff Tambroni, has been very pleased with the way his team has been riding this season, but right there, Maryland executes a beautiful clear. Molliver switching it back behind the goal with Wisnauskas. He has his defender hung up. Off the cut, the quick release and score. Jack Corus gets Maryland off to a fine start.
We saw this last weekend at Audi Field. Jack Corus, a tremendous cutting midfielder, but it starts on the defensive end. Look at Rayum, steps in between the defense. I thought that shot could have been bounced maybe a foot or two in front of McNaney. And then that's just too easy if you're Logan Wisnauskas, just like shooting fish in a barrel. You find Corus, who always cuts at terrific angles. He slips it past Fayok.
Weirman won a career-best 24 faceoffs against Virginia in that number 1 against number 2 battle. He's won the first 2 encounters tonight. as Wisnauskas looks to go to the goal. Picked up a helper there on the chorus tally. So Wisnauskas now with points in all 65 games of his collegiate career.
Amazing, staggering when you think about his development.
Chorus looking inside. Wisnauskas was bothered on the release. Knocked down to the deck as the Nittany Lions look for a break. This ball bounces away from the face-off man, Bond. And we get whistles and possession for Penn State.
Yeah, loose ball push. Nice outlet pass from Fyock. Just looked like it crossed up the midfielder that was cutting. But if you look at this Maryland team, Joe, let's rewind a week ago. They're playing Virginia, who they lost the national championship to. Energy and emotion. They came out and shot out of a cannon. Also the weather. It was 75 degrees last weekend in D.C. Face-off, we're at, what, 28 degrees?
A little bit of a difference.
A couple of mitigating factors coming into this one.
Ferrone looking inside. Peden is there. He was surrounded by the heart of the Terrapin defense. And off the hold, the possession goes to the Terps, who want to run swiftly. Zappatello leading the charge. Rahill, one of the long sticks who scored against the Cavaliers a weekend ago, a game that was played in Washington, D.C. at Audi Field. This is a turnover, possession awarded back to the Nittany Lions. 1-0 early on. The Terps getting a tally from Chorus. Jack Chorus, who has goals against Loyola, Notre Dame, and now Penn State on the season.
A moving pick against Maryland. They love to set that little screen, down screen for Wisnauskas. Fairman did not get set, turnover. And if you're Penn State, you've got 2 defensive stops and now a turnover. You've got to start converting those into goal-scoring opportunities. Put points on the board. You have to score goals against Maryland. You know, you talk about playing high-powered football teams. You know you have to go for touchdowns. If you're Penn State, you cannot have empty possessions.
Makar draws Peden. Once again, the freshman getting the top defender for the opposition. Well ahead of schedule, right? When you're just a youngster and you're seeing the opponent's best in the All-American Makar just about week after week.
Yeah, he was supposed to get a little bit of protection from some of the returners, you know, Trainer and other kind of guys, and then we're going to have the first flag of the night. But instead, he's been thrown to the wolves.
Peden fights through the necktie there, and now Penn State goes to extra man.
You got to be impressed with Will Peden. Originally a Johns Hopkins commit, decommitted, now finds himself in Happy Valley, and just such a blue-collar, lunch pail kind of kid. Tries to get around, and then a little horse collar right there from Bubba Fairman. But Peden, look, he still had the ball. And right there, you got to score if you're Will Peden. You get out of that, you have the ball still, you got to flag down. Bury that, bury the biscuit.
Penn State was 3 for 3 against Bucknell. You see their overall efficiency at the top of the screen. These Nittany Lions who have dropped 3 in a row. Setting up on the extra man. Costin looks to the interior. Renfleck makes a tough catch. Big face dodge from Birch. On the exchange with Peden. They play a 2-man game around Puglisi. Shot clock down to 20. Wraparound chance that came through. McNaney has it for Maryland.
Yeah, unlucky for Birch as he started his dodge to Cage. Looked like his feet got tangled up, so he's falling forward. Didn't get a lot on that shot. Another couple of empty possessions for Penn State. They did have scoring opportunities.
Hey, Jack Zappatello will hand it off for Jake Higgins. Higgins, part of a very deep, short stick defensive midfield troop for Maryland. Molliver on the go, the Georgia native who learned so much from Jared Bernhardt. Maryland's all-time leading scorer, phenomenal athlete. From the top, it's Donville, one of the incredible transfers that have helped bolster an already impressive Maryland lineup. Keegan Kahn fires and scores!
Keegan Kahn imposed his will last weekend on Virginia, showing a dodging proficiency that we hadn't seen before. But again, when you talk about Penn State, there we see that thwarted effort. Canyon Birch lost his footing, and then we're just going to come down the other end. And Kahn known as a finisher at Villanova, but look at him just use that big wiry frame to gain leverage, get his shoulder underneath the defender and whip it past Faya. Great individual effort.
Terps love to stack goals on top of each other. This is a team that loves to get on a scoring run, and they can do so by the way they win faceoffs.
No doubt. Weirman is different in 2022.
Heavy hit along the sideline, a crunching hit delivered by Townsend. He rattled the fillings of Puglisi. It's Penn State ball.
Wow, that is setting the tone if you're Penn State. It's also setting the tone if you're a referee. Matt Palin let that one go. Look clean from our vantage point. I'm sure we'll take a look at the replay, but those are the types of plays that are going to energize this crowd and energize this Penn State team.
Sickler fires. It's kicked away by McNaney. Rayom comes up with the rebound. Renfleck looking to the interior. Switch it there for Peden. Gets into the alley, tough shooting lane. To the interior, just gets away from Kelly, and this will bounce out of bounds. Another turnover against Penn State.
Take a look at this hit. Perfectly timed, and it looked like it was through the chest with the hand. So good no call, good defense, but McNaney, what a save. Stamping that little bit of a fire out that Penn State was trying to get started.
Penn State committed 25 turnovers in its loss to Bucknell 12 days ago.
And that's key. You mentioned 12 days ago. Penn State has used that time, talking to Coach Tambroni this week, to get ready for Maryland, to prepare for Maryland. That was some obvious scheduling right there to get ready for this Terps game.
Molliver chased there by Sam Sweeney. The injuries haven't just been at the offensive end for Penn State. It's also caused the Nittany Lions to shuffle up things defensively. This howitzer from long is over top of the net. Sam Sweeney is normally a long stick midfielder. They moved him down close.
Yeah, he is great between the lines, excellent off the ground, and he's been called into action more playing with his back to the goal.
We do see Braden Peck there, 44 in the white. DeMeo goes to the split dodge and draws the double. Shot clock's at 15. Jump shot, Donville fought off by Fayok. That rattled around the frame. And a shot clock reset for the Terps.
Fayok looks sharp. He's seeing the ball. He's reacting well.
Long keeps the ball hot. Behind the cage, Molliver with a defender. Posey hung up. Quick cut, score! Long on the business end of a perfect pass.
Second time Maryland has gotten the Penn State defense hung up. Second time they've scored. Last time it was Anauskas to Course down the left-hand side. And this time it's Molliver to Long. Just a little pass and a quick redirect. Look at the placement by Long. All he had to do was tap that one home.
Mark, for those who may not be as well versed in lacrosse, when a defender gets hung up like that, how do you remedy that situation?
You got to try to flush first of all, if you can't flush them out, you just have to mark up. You have to watch cutters, you have to watch the picks, but in a perfect world, you'd be able to flush that attacker to one side or the other to get him moving away from the goal. The trick there, though, is not to be out of position if you're either the defender or the goaltender to give him an easy look.
Maryland earns another possession off of the ground ball fight. Black jersey Terrapins have the game's first three markers from three different goal scorers. They like to share the wealth.
They do, and that's what makes this Maryland team so dangerous and sets them apart. Not just the skill level, but the depth of skill on this Maryland team.
Bad pass there for the Terps. That was a tough catch for Brennan, and instead, the Nittany Lions get an offensive set as we near the 9-minute mark of the opening quarter. With Lacrosse on Big Ten Network, Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you. A chilly, chilly night at Panzer Stadium. Temperatures in the high 20s. Breezy. There have been snow flurries throughout the day. Costin set to go.
Almost got blown away, Joe, getting out of my car earlier today. It's gusty.
Not a surprise. Morin inverted, the midfielder playing back behind the net. That pass is down. They'll battle for it at the midline. Parnham didn't get there. This is over and back. It belongs to Maryland, and Higgins wants to go right to the cage. Molliver finessing around Parnham. Parnham, who's very instinctive, very disruptive, in the words of head coach Jeff Tambroni.
Only a freshman, getting some quality minutes, as is this young man, So again, a lot of these young guys, with Sweeney then bumping down to close from the long stick midfield position, a guy like Buno is getting the opportunity at pole.
DeMeo will invert here. 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points against Virginia. He snapped that one wide. The backup was fielded cleanly. Terps zipping the ball on the perimeter. DeMeo again, giving a shove. The feed comes through. One more time over the top, and Fayok made the save on Molliver.
Good save by Fayok, read it clearly, and then cleanly made the save. No rebound, sloppy clear.
Terps get it right back. Looking for an unsettled situation. Nittany Lions get back in the hole. Donville, the transfer from Cornell, all he's done is come to town and be Maryland's second leading scorer.
He's a dynamic player, and you look at this Maryland lineup. Molliver, a first-year starter. A guy like Daniel Maltz, who was a starter for the last couple of years, comes off the bench.
Whistling drive from Donville there. Donville with goals in 6 of 7 since coming to town.
And it's uncanny how the transfers have just fit like a glove at the University of Maryland. When you talk about Kahn, Donville, Owen Murphy, who we haven't really called him yet tonight, they fit in seamlessly to Bobby Benson's offense.
Long on the go, folds it over and scores. A beautiful bounce shot.
This is one I think Fayok is going to wish that he could have back. Long, he's so quick and so deceptive, coming down that right wing, just getting a step on his man. I thought he was going to run out of real estate, but look at the quick first step, gets a little bit of leverage, and a little twister, if you will, from Kyle Long.
Beautiful work. Didn't score against Virginia. He's taken care of that with 2 already tonight. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. From Panzer Stadium, Penn State hosting Maryland, the state of success, brought to you by State Farm. And look where the Terps rank on top of the land.
Yeah, #1, and the undisputed #1. They answered the question of who's the best in the country, Maryland or Virginia, and that was a resounding 23-12 win over the Cavaliers for this Maryland Terrapin team. Still a ton of lacrosse left to be played. Rutgers sitting just outside the top 5. Impressive win earlier today against Ohio State.
This is a Penn State team that's faced 4 top 10 foes in its last 5 outings.
They always play an ambitious schedule, and with the Ivy Leagues back, it's just great for lacrosse, and the Ivy League is played at an incredibly high level, and so when a team like Penn State...
Loose ball layup mark. Will Peden cashes in and gets the Nittany Lions on the board.
I couldn't believe my eyes, Joe. I didn't know what was going on. It was a gift-wrapped opportunity for Penn State. It's a miscue oftentimes you do not see out of the Maryland clearing game. They force the turnover. All it is a simple look. And that, maybe not the best look from Geppert. Kind of handcuffed himself, handcuffed the man he was throwing the ball to, and Penn State Peden happy to pick up the trash and slip it into the goal.
Maryland in the dark jerseys, the first 4 goals of this contest. Couple from Long, Chorus and Kahn on the board as well. Peden ends the run for the Nittany Lions. He has tallies in 6 of his 9 games this season as the Terps have another possession. It was Coach Tambroni, when referring to Luke Weirman, the faceoff man for Maryland, who said he's now at an elite level.
He is, and he was pretty good last year, and he's got that sting.
Beautiful passing, that's off the post. Fayok finds it in the crease.
Yeah, Weirman's got that sting of not only losing the national championship game, but he's the one that had that last shot against Rhode. It has certainly fueled his performance in 2022.
Townsend in the hop transition, working on for Sickler. Owen Prabilski is another of the transfers there. He's tending to Sickler with a ball down on the deck, and Prabilski wins that battle. A second-team All-Big East performer at Villanova.
Look at his save by Fayak. Actually, it's off the pipe. Fayak actually got his stick caught in the crossbar. You take him any way you can get him, Joe. And that one kept it out of the net. But right now, if you're Penn State, you've got to find a way to crack this Maryland defense. I don't know if it's passing, winning a matchup. Right now, Maryland just physically has the advantage over this young Penn State O.
Chorus could easily have 3 goals tonight with the way he has cut into passing lanes.
He's an incredible cutter. One of the best in the country, if not the best, moving off ball and getting to open spots.
Working it, it's Wisnauskas switching for Donville. They change the point of attack. Long, who's been a sharpshooter already. Wisnauskas on the big face dodge from the bad angle. Didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, Penn State's gone into a zone.
Jump shot here from Wisnauskas. That was off the top of his cross. Backed up by Molliver, closest to the ball, where and when it leaves the field on a shot. Maintains possession for Maryland.
I like this little alteration of Penn State strategy, slipping into the zone. They've gotten beaten a couple times, hung up. Let's see if they can keep Maryland at bay.
Shot clock's at 10. Kahn. Bring it up top. Long. The feed gets away, and it was deflected, so it will stay Maryland ball with just 2 seconds to shoot as subs race on for the Terps. This will be a shot clock violation, and Penn State will take over.
Good defensive stand by Penn State. Maryland got a couple of shots off, none really all that dangerous. So I think that look kind of confused the Terps, and Penn State executed their zone defense package to perfection.
Fayak zips this one to the corner. Rahill gets there first for Maryland. Ran out of real estate, lost his balance. Sickler comes up with the ball as we have just about 40 seconds now remaining in the opening quarter. All-time meeting number 40 between these two schools. Big Ten season opener. Maryland has lost just once in the first 39 tries at the varsity level to the Nittany Lions. Mark Dixon with you. John Tillman wisely all bundled up with temperatures in the mid-20s.
Absolutely. And this Maryland team, though, they have been on fire so far in 2022. 7 turnovers in that first quarter. Very uncharacteristic of Maryland. When he talked to us this week, he, recognized the fact that this could be a trap game or a letdown game, and they had to do everything they could as a coaching staff to get through to the guys and say, this is the Big Ten. This is Sunday Night Lacrosse. We've got to show up with a supreme effort.
One thing he kept saying is we have to play fast, because he felt like Penn State would on the opposite side as Puglisi comes up with a ground ball. First possession here in the second quarter from Panzer Stadium. Just tuning in with us, Kyle Long has a couple of goals. Chorus and Kahn have also struck for the Terps in the black. It is Will Peden with a lone salvo for the Nittany Lions to this point. Long off the split, gets away from Townsend. Donville played out wide for Wisnauskas, picked up by Peck, who's playing with a heavily bandaged hand.
Yeah, missed a couple of games, back in the lineup, the leader of this defense.
Off the roll, Kahn had no room, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. Wisnauskas failed to convert. As they run it down on the end line, it'll go to Penn State. Kahn with 4 goals and 3 assists against Virginia to earn those Big Ten honors.
He was sensational. Here we're going to see Fayak. Nice save, and then the wherewithal to run it to the end line with one of his teammates. Penn State, they are hustling all over the field. Again, it's just a matter of executing in the offensive zone.
Alaric Fayak has some happy feet from time to time in that net, but he makes a lot of saves, double figures in saves over 6 different games this season to this point.
Great to see him getting an opportunity. Came in late last year in the Big Ten tournament.
Bouncer on the way from Costin, fought off by McNaney. High in the air, and on the end line, Maycard comes up with a scoop.
Maycard's just a beast. I mean, he is a unit. So tough. That goal last week really amped up the crowd, amped up his Maryland teammates. and he right now is owning the matchup with Will Peak.
The first goal of his collegiate career, a beautifully timed slow break against the Cavaliers. And Makar, the All-American, not afraid to lead, not afraid to speak up.
When you think about this Maryland defense as well, you got McNaney back, you got Ray Hill back, you got Makar back. But when you graduate a guy like Nick Brill, second-team All-American, All-Big Ten performer, those are really big shoes to fill. And Ajax Zapatello has slid into that role incredibly well. But make no mistake, Makar is the alpha male on that end of the field.
There's the defender again, hung up. This time it's Parnham in that uncomfortable feeling. Snapshot, score! Jack Brennan.
Fifth goal for Maryland. Third scored off of a hangman situation behind the cage. If you're Penn State, you've just got to mark up. You've got to communicate, and you've got to cover the backside. Once more, Molliver just patient. Brennan floats out. Instead of being a down cut to the post, he just flashed out and gave a great angle, said, hey, I'm wide open, and he zips it to the far post.
Molliver already with a couple of assists. He had 3 against High Point in the season opener for Maryland. The Terps getting the ball right back thanks to Luke Weirman. The goal from Brennan, who has markers in 5 of his last 7. Weirman angles and runs away from his opposite number, the face-off man for the Nittany Lions, Hudson Bond. Bond improving week to week to week.
Yeah, and when you think about the graduation of Gerard Arceri, Mr. Faceoff in Happy Valley, and then Jake Glatz, the man who was going to take the load this year, has been out with an injury, so Bond has been forced into action.
Donville off the roll, squaring up there, finds DeMeo. Wisnauskas chooses Donville, gets underneath the bouncer that's deflected away by Fayak. DeMeo watches it roll out of bounds. It'll stay Maryland possession.
Yeah, we get a good look at Fayak. He works with the Baltimore Crabs club organization, helps coach my son Owen's team, the 2023s, their current juniors in high school. And we'll be talking about his brother in a couple of years, Joe, the big tasty Caleb Fayak, headed to Ohio State.
I'm sorry, every time I hear that nickname, I laugh.
You
Big
should.
Tasty, I love it.
He's a character, but the Fayak family, just a great bunch. And again, great to see Alaric getting an opportunity and playing well so far tonight, even though he's given up 5 goals, made some nice saves.
Freshman Kyle Aldridge has the ball, 24 in the white for Penn State. They are trailing on home turf by 4 to top-ranked Maryland. You see the turnover story level. Both teams have been mistake-prone in this first half. Sickler shaking loose. Rayom picked up on the outside. Sickler driving in against Smith. Scores!
Welcome back, Mr. Sickler. And if Penn State is going to start winning matchups, starting to get to the cage, they're going to have to attack the Maryland shorties. I love this matchup. Sickler just goes underneath, gets an angle, and then McNaney did a nice job of tracking this. Got a piece of it, but it just had enough English to go over that goal line. Sickler with the huge goal for the Nittany Lions.
Sickler, whose brother Dave played at Salisbury, powerhouse program in its own right.
Division III, they've won, I think, 12 national titles.
That'll work. As Higgins will hand it off. Subs coming off of John Tillman's bench. Long runs by his man. Kahn is the outlet. With Long inverted against Townsend. Gets topside. Here comes the double. Molliver rips it off of Fayak, who makes the save and tracks down the rebound.
Nice save. Molliver, in my opinion, Joe, he's the next #1 for the University of Maryland. Just watching his development, his evolution as a player, I think Molliver is destined to wear that #1 jersey in maybe next year when Wisnauskas' time is done in the Terrapin jersey.
Interesting to hear you say that. Just a sophomore, Eric Molliver.
It's my prediction.
See if your crystal ball is accurate.
It's anything like my NCAA basketball bracket. Mullivers are going to be angry at me.
Turn away, Eric, turn away. Nittany Lions possession. Still 40 seconds on the shot clock. Kelly sweeping across the top. Knifes to the interior. Back behind the goal, Peden. Now he has Zappatello hung up. Peden looking over the top. McNaney stays put. Peden turns the corner, and there's Higgins waiting for him.
Yeah, this is the least fortuitous matchup in terms of Maryland short sticks. Jake Higgins has been pretty dominant in 22.
Kick it up top. Long-range drive. McNaney had the answer there for Morin. Comes up with the outlet for Higgins, who wants to run. Looking for a fast break here. Kahn realizing there are no numbers. He'll pull it back out. They'll go 6-on-6.
Smart decision. They've had success in the 6-on-6. They still may go for a little early offense right here, but now the changes are starting to take place. And I liked when Penn State went into that zone. They seemed very comfortable, and they didn't get hung up.
Kahn off the swim. This bid was partially blocked. Taken to safety by Kelly. On for Pop Buno. Buno, the freshman. One of many Pennsylvania natives on this roster, Pop Buno.
Jeff Tambroni and his staff have done a terrific job of mining Pennsylvania high school lacrosse for those prospective student athletes, one of which is Grant Ament, who will be honored here tonight for all his accomplishments in the Nittany Lion jersey.
Fabulous performer, three-time All-American. On the go, the bouncer from Costin that goes wide. It'll stay Penn State possession. Bringing it in off the end line, Peden wraps and scores! Acrobatic Will Peden.
Downingtown, Pennsylvania. We just talked about the Pennsylvania pipeline coming to Happy Valley. Will Peden, perfect example. Whistle ready. Just gets Zappatello really on his heels. Never really got firm footing. Peden uses his speed, whips around top side, no help, and a nifty goal for the freshman.
This has to be music to the ears for the Nittany Lion fans. Peden had only one goal in his last 4 games. He has 2 tonight, and he's brought Penn State within 2 against top-ranked Maryland. Good scoop by Geppert. More possession time for the Terps.
And the longer Penn State can hang around this game, it's cliche, but it's true. The confidence will grow, the swagger will grow, the crowd will get more into it. So this is a good spot to be in if you're Penn State.
Geppert makes that catch at midfield on a bullet pass from McNaney. Subs coming on for Maryland. Drifting down more than halfway through in the second quarter, 6:55 to play in it. Sunday night in Happy Valley with temperatures in the mid-20s. A windy evening too. Wind gusts from time to time over 20 miles an hour. No flurries that we've seen to this point. Those all came during the day. Tremendous shot. It's Kahn lifting Maryland back on the scoreboard.
The wrath of Kahn being felt throughout State College. So impressed am I with Keegan Kahn's ability again to just come above goal line extended. And this one, he's a little farther away from the goal, but watch him dip that right shoulder. Right here is where he gets that leverage, is able to free up both hands to get the stick back and get enough on it to score a goal. Keegan Kahn, impressive athleticism.
Weirman wins the draw going right to the cage. Weirman fires, he scores! Back-to-back lightning bolts for the Terps.
How quickly the tide can change when you have offensive firepower as potent as the University of Maryland. Weirman wins it out the front door. Last week, Virginia slid to him. Penn State slides to him as well this week, but Weirman says, you know what? I'm going to post up, and I'm going to bounce it home. He does just that.
Weirman answering Hudson Bond, answering Jake Glatz that time, going to the goal. And the Terps lead grows to 4. Folks, on Saturday, these Terps head to Ann Arbor for a matchup with Michigan. You can stream the action live on the Big Ten Plus app. Download and subscribe right now. Michigan, that started 7-0, has dropped its last 3. Mark Dixon, Logan McNaney in the cage has had a few answers tonight.
He has, and we've talked about the difficulty of Penn State winning their matchups. When they did get a good clean look on cage, they still have to solve number 30 in the black and red. And look at the nice kick save and a beaut. I love how he just plays feet on the goal line, doesn't guess, very efficient in his movement, fundamentally sound. 6 saves so far in this one for McNaney.
Weirman wins the draw and comes up with the scoop again off the ground ball. Next week, McNaney will have to deal with the likes of Josh Zawada and Mikey Bain for the Wolverines.
Talented tandem in Ann Arbor. Again, they started 7-0, have dropped their last 3. Their latest was a loss to Hopkins yesterday, 15-12, but that is a capable Michigan team coached by a former Maryland assistant, Kevin Connery.
Beautiful passing again to the interior, looking for DeMeo. Ball down on the deck. And coming up with a scoop, Posey there for the Nittany Lions in white.
Good defense by Penn State to create that turnover. They got hit in the mouth again. Quick 1-2 to now make it a 4-goal game when they had trimmed the Terp advantage down to 2. Reset, little time for Jeff Tamburri to talk to his troops and calm them down a little bit.
This was a 7 p.m. Eastern time local start. Sun setting, the lights starting to take full effects now at Panzer Stadium. Nittany Lions thrilled to have Mark Sickler in their lineup. On the run, Rayom dealing with Higgins. Costin working to the outside. Sickler is there, so Sickler returns, but to this point, we have not seen 33 Jack Trainer. Outstanding score for these Nittany Lions. Kelly walking the dog, feeds to Rayom. Rayom loves his left. Alley shot here, goes wide of McNaney. Hustling effort. They'll award the ball to Penn State despite the dive from Maycock.
And that's, you know, college lacrosse in 2022. Guys selling out, trying to win possession every chance they can get.
Shot clock's at 9. Off the swim, Sickler's bouncer is over top of the goal. This time it will belong to Maryland. The Terps a 7-3 leader. They had a 4-1 advantage at the first quarter break. See if Penn State's ride can cause problems for the Terps. Rentfleck was leaping in the air. Maryland calmly works it down the alley and sets up shop. First call on the night for 37 in black, Daniel Maltz. One thing that you might expect about a Maryland team ranked #1, they are especially deep.
Really are. Maltz is an inside guy, terrific finisher, operates in a phone booth for the most part. Doesn't need a whole lot of room to get his shot off in traffic.
We see Owen Murphy out there now, 55 in black, another of the highly regarded transfers, former Johns Hopkins Blue Jay. Off the question mark, it's Kahn for the hat trick.
Coming into a program like Maryland and a team like the Terrapins, it might take you a minute as a transfer to get your footing and find your identity, and Keegan Kahn certainly fits that bill. We've seen him score 2 goals going underneath his defender. This time he fakes that lower shoulder, spins with the question mark, and zips it far post. Keegan Kahn reaching into his bag of tricks in this one to score goals different ways.
After a 2-goal mini run for Penn State, Maryland has the last 3 on the board, opening up its largest advantage on the night. And the domination continues for Weirman at the face-off X.
Yeah, now an 11-2 advantage in face-offs for Maryland. Obviously, you get the possessions, but you continue to wear down a Penn State defense that has logged a lot of tracks tonight.
Haven't seen Brett Funk. We have seen Braden Peck. As far as those who've been nicked and injured recently. Jump shot score! Bubba Fairman remembering the offensive side of the game.
We've talked about it. This was a 5-3 game just a couple minutes ago, and just like that, 4 in a row for the Maryland Terrapins. Bubba Fairman, an offensive stalwart for this Maryland team the last couple of years, but with some injuries and some personnel changes, he volunteered to go play short stick defensive midfield. Here he shows he still has some funk in his bag, can make some plays, just gets top side after a nice juke move behind, and he has chased Alaric Fayok out of the game.
And here come the Terps again with another rapid possession. This is a snapshot score for Kahn, who feels it for 4, denting the twine against Jack Frassian.
New goalie, same result. Jeff Tambroni has seen enough. He calls a timeout. Maryland is all kinds of fired up on a super cold night in Happy Valley. The first 3 goals were all from the left side. This time Kahn fakes the dodge to the left, spins back to the right, gets his defender crossed up, uses the goal as a pick, and then he slips it past Frassian.
Back-to-back 4-goal games for Keegan Kahn. He had 4 and 3 for 7 points against Virginia in that #1 versus #2 clash in Washington, D.C. last weekend. Kahn went through about a 3-week spell where he was feeling, I think, the sting of an injury. But all of a sudden, when we saw him score 8 seconds into the game against Virginia last week, the light bulb came on like, uh-oh, we're feeling good now. And he is just about unstoppable.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of being nicked up and then trying to acclimate yourself into such an established group. But, it's bad news for Maryland opponents. Keegan Kahn is a force to be reckoned with. Another arrow in the quill of John Tillman and Bobby Benson.
You're talking about the diversity of the offensive attack, right? They've got 10 goals on the board. Not one from Logan Wisnowskis.
No Logan Wisnowskis. We haven't called DeMayo a whole lot tonight. I mean, it's
an embarrassment of riches.
It really is. It really is.
Alaric Fayok lifted from the cage. His understudy, Jack Frassian. We spoke with Jeff Tambroni, the head coach of Penn State, about both goalies. He says he likes them both, has confidence in both of them, and we had a feeling we might see Frassian before this night was through.
Well, again, 3 out of the 10. It was 2 in the first quarter, then an early second quarter score where they got the defense hung up of Penn State. And then since then, Keegan Kahn has just dominated his individual matchup.
Weirman gets control of the faceoff. That's been a broken record for Maryland tonight. Holy smokes. He's having another tremendous percentage game. Weirman, who's 68% coming into tonight. Far better than that in the first half of play, which has another 2:45 left in it. Long playing hide and seek with Townsend. Waiting for cutters. Long, ready to press the corner. Fires and scores! Kyle Long has the hat trick.
Fourth time Maryland has gotten the Penn State defense hung up, 4th goal, although this one's a different variety. Instead of it being a feed out front, Long is just going to take the right side, slide his dummy slide, doesn't come. 55 thought about it, stopped, probably should have continued through, but Long took a different angle, and he tattoos the upper 90.
Long on the board with a hat trick, the 5th leading point scorer for the Terps this season. Maryland in the black jerseys, another face-off win for Weirman. Long, the only game without a goal was that explosion last week against Virginia. He was held off the scoreboard in that sense.
And they still scored 23 goals.
Right. And DeMeo may have had the quietest 6-point game you've ever seen. For Penn State, its largest deficit of the season, trailing by 8. All Penn State does is play close games, right?
Right. Yeah, when you look at their 6 losses, 4 are by 1 goal and 1 was by 2.
Tangling with a little different animal tonight. Wisnauskas on the go. Frasian makes the save. Big rebound belongs to Kahn as he's picked up on the outside by Sutton Boland. 90 seconds left in the half. Bring it up top for Murphy. Murphy, jump shot, sailed it wide. Murphy has a couple of 4-goal games on his mantle.
So it looks like Maltz is running on the second midfield unit.
Set the screen there for Wisnauskas. Yeah. Brennan here against Hawes.
Because Owen Murphy is a Swiss Army knife. He can play attack and midfield. Pole is going on Murphy. Maltz has a shorty.
Underneath, a submarine shot there from Kahn that goes high. A rare miss for 19 in black.
Still getting to a good spot to shoot.
Off the restart, it's Brennan dealing with Sweeney. Jump shot, Murphy is over top of the cage. Still Maryland ball with 49 seconds to go in the quarter. 6 unanswered goals for the Terps. Wisnauskas on the move, hoping to continue that trend. Frasian made the save on Maltz. Looks for a fast break opportunity. Nice catch by Sweeney. Sweeney on the run, no numbers. He'll slow things in the final 30 seconds of the second quarter.
Sweeney working with a short stick. Even more versatility.
Peden, who has a couple of goals in the first half. Bring it back behind for Costin, marked by Zappatello. Off the cut, that gets away from Brentfleck. Running and chasing now with 10 seconds. Able to keep it. Peden for the Nittany Lions. A last-ditch effort. Inside, turning, that bounce shot eaten up by McNaney. And that will do it for 30 minutes at Panzer Stadium with top-ranked Maryland in cruise control.
Impressive first half for the Terps. Again, that game was, we had a 5-3 game with about 9 minutes left to go in the first half, and Maryland just took it to another gear, scoring 6 in a row and just really dominating the offensive end of the field, dominating possession time, dominating face-offs. An impressive first 30 minutes for Maryland.
Solid showing from the outset. The guys in the black jerseys running roughshod over Penn State. It's 11-3 at the half. Stay right there with us. Plenty of highlights to show you on Big Ten Network. Maryland Terrapins hit the throttle in that second quarter, outscoring Penn State by 5, opening up a lead by 8 after 2 quarters of play, as head coach John Tillman joins us before the start of the third. Coach, it was a spotty start for your squad. How did things get turned around?
I just think the guys, obviously the game started to get into a flow and the guys settled down a little bit. Obviously, you know, Sunday night game, guys were excited, conference play. So I think just kind of getting our bearings, take a deep breath. Luke's done a tremendous job with the X. Felt like we didn't cash in on some of those opportunities early, but we've done a better job in the second quarter.
Coach, on a team that has so much offensive depth, we're seeing Keegan Kahn the last couple weeks really step up. He 4 goals last week against Virginia, 4 first-half goals against Penn State tonight. What is he doing that's taking his game to another level?
I just think, you know, when his opportunity's there, he's doing a good job of getting to good spots and finishing. And other guys are clearing space for him, which is fantastic. And if we're going to be a great team, which I think our guys can be, they're a great group of young men. It's just, you know, when someone has a good matchup or they're in good spots, hopefully it's their day. And then, you know, on any good team, you hope that maybe if it's a different day, it's somebody else's opportunity to shine. So these guys are very selfless, and they're a great group to be around.
John Tillman, we appreciate your thoughts. Thanks. Head coach of the Terps gets back to work for the third quarter. His team 7-0 with victories over all non-Big Ten Conference opponents. Next up for the Terrapins, they'll travel to Ann Arbor to face Michigan on Saturday. Penn State's next outing, it'll be a quick work week for the Nittany Lions. They're at Ohio State this coming Friday.
Yeah, short week, and two teams looking to turn their, Big Ten fortunes around. Last year, both lost in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. We'll go 6 deep again this year in 2022. I love it. With the quarterfinal round happening, then the semifinals a week later.
Rayom on the flip for Sickler. Sickler guarded by Geppert. This pass gets away, and it's a early turnover against the Nittany Lions. This is a Penn State squad, Mark, you referenced last year. The Nittany Lions finished 4-7. They've not had consecutive losing seasons since 1983 through 85.
Yeah, and Jeff Tambroni, his 12th season, he's brought, he's changed the culture here at Penn State. He's brought in some really great players. I mean, you talk about your Grant Aments and Mac O'Keefe and Nick Aponte, and we could go on and on with some of the terrific players that Penn State has had. I'm not so sure that 2021 season, it counts. But that might have to have an asterisk next to it. Conference-only play and those types of things when you had a guy like Mac O'Keefe on the offense. So this is a Penn State team that's going to continue to work and get better.
Wisnauskas, those long strides, gets them to the front of the goal, and he scores.
It's been a minute before we mentioned Logan Wisnauskas. John Tillman said it at halftime. We just have so many guys, and it's a selfless group, and whoever has the hot hand or the good matchup is going to take advantage. But Logan Wisnauskas continues to work. He's got the short stick. Shorty actually tried to shut him off a little bit, and Wisnauskas a little what's what behind the cage. Front swings, takes the feed, gets to a great spot, and hits the back of the cage.
And you said the word work. Everybody we talk to, whether it be a coach, a player, an opponent, they all rave about Wisnauskas' work ethic.
They do. Wall ball Wednesdays, and Lars Tiffany told us last week that after they lost the national championship game, Maryland, shaking hands with Tiffany, he said, "Coach, we want to come down and play you at Klockner. Under the lights, let's play again. This is fun. Let's make it a big night." And, it might have not been a big night, but it was a big afternoon last weekend in D.C. when those two Titans collided.
Lars Tiffany went on to say, we revere players like that, who have that kind of attitude.
Ton of respect. And Tiffany's not alone in the respect that Wisnauskas gets from coaches around the country.
Matt Costin working against Ajax Zapatello. Behind the cage it comes for Rayom against the short stick D-mid Fairman. The double comes from Makar. Rayom spins back. 30 seconds to shoot for Penn State in the white jerseys here at Panzer. Sickler into the alley. Rolling back against Geppert. Outstanding long stick midfielder for Maryland. Sickler off the redodge. The pass is too tall over the head of Costin.
A lot of the offensive workload has been put on Mark Sickler. He does have a goal. Maryland's making sure that he gets a pole every time he sets foot onto the field. That time they're able to create a turnover.
Another of the guys missing for Penn State, whose name we haven't mentioned, TJ Malone.
Yeah.
That's forced Peden to take that much more of an offensive responsibility.
And with the graduation of Grant Ament, TJ Malone assumed that leadership, quarterback, facilitator role on the offense a year ago. So to have him go down and not be available for what has been a very good chunk of the 2022 season, again, that means you put a guy like Will Peden in the lineup that you're hoping to protect. It's almost like a first-round draft pick quarterback or a high draft round quarterback. You try to protect them and keep them to get them to learn the game.
Picture perfect passing again, Mark, and it's Chorus who converts.
Another great cut from Jack Chorus. First goal was a left-handed cut. This one is a right-handed cut. He just has an impeccable sense of timing and angle. Watch him wait. Defense turns their heads, cuts right to the post, slips it past Frassian. doesn't get much easier than that.
Jack Frassian, who came on for Alaric Fayok in the first half, as Chorus becomes the third different multi-goal scorer for the Terps tonight. The lead balloons to 10.
You know, Chorus with the cutting and you know, the off-ball movement, that's a lesson for young players that may be watching this game. He's got, what, 2 goals, Joe, and the ball's been in his stick, what, 3 seconds collectively?
Max. There's a flag down. Extra man's time coming up for the Nittany Lions. Be their second opportunity on the night.
It looks like Weirman just went offsides. A little bit of a mental error right there. Just chasing. And he steps on the line right at midfield.
Penn State began the night at 45% on extra man offense. This is their second crack at it. Maryland's man down defense was only ranked 4th in the Big Ten last year. Peden operating behind the cage. Costin straight away. Canyon Birch is next. Skip a man through to Brent Fleck. The look inside for Kelly. Gets away, and the Terps get control. Logan McNaney backstopping all of this for Maryland. A pass for Geppert. He'll calm it down. Short-handed Terps balancing up at this end of the field. John Tillman said of Logan McNaney, you know what? I wouldn't trade him for anyone.
He has said that, and he put his money where his mouth is when McNaney won the starting job as a freshman. And he's done a terrific, he's had a terrific career thus far. It's still, it is very, you know, it's in his toddler stages, I guess. But he has been a difference maker for Maryland. When you can look, think about the goaltenders that the Terps have had through the years. Nico Amato, Morris, who won the national championship, Kyle Burnmore. You know, McNaney fits that mold of a leader. He might not look physically like the 3 guys that I mentioned, but he certainly commands the field.
Frassian just made a fine save there on a give and go with Donville from point-blank range, getting the ball back for Penn State. They're going to award this to Maryland. Ryan Townsend dropping it and getting back into a defensive posture as DeMeo lugs it ahead for Maryland in the black jerseys. Wisnauskas got on the board and then feeds there for DeMeo from 0 angle. He scores.
Just a 2-man game between Wisnauskas and DeMeo. And it's intuitive and uncanny, the defensive, the offensive communication that exists with this Maryland team. You just see the pick coming down from DeMeo. Just slips off of it at a severe angle as well and is able to roof it past Frassian. Great recognition by Wisnauskas and a tidy finish by DeMeo.
It is 9 goals unanswered for the Terps as we move towards the midway mark of the 3rd quarter. 8 different players have tallied for the guys in the black jerseys. And Coach Tambroni of Penn State said of Maryland, this is quite possibly the most complete Maryland team they've ever faced.
He spoke about not only the talent, but the experience of this team and the maturity of this Maryland lineup. How many games they've played, how many seasons that they've played. And, you know, when you're looking at a Penn State team that has some veterans, but also has a lot of young guys playing because of injury, it's a stark contrast in the composition of a lineup.
Ajax Abatello leads the Terps in caused turnovers. He just picked off a pass there to get another offensive set. Molliver waltzing with it, top of the formation. Bring it back behind. Fairman, the short stick D-mid, will isolate. He was a first-string offensive midfielder last season. Kahn on the go, marked by Peck. Good news for Penn State fans to see 44 back there. Wisnauskas bluffed the behind-the-back shot. Drags it away from pressure. Off the curl. Tough shot from Chorus that sails wide. And And it is awarded to Penn State, the hustling effort of Kevin Parnham.
And you can see the makeup mentally of this Penn State team. No quit. They're going to continue to work, continue to grind. And that's a case in point of Parnham running that shot out.
Coach Tambroni says he loves this team. They're going to absorb everything. They're working on everything right now. They're trying to just find chemistry in their lineup. But all the while, you get the sense that the coach believes in his troops.
I mean, look, anytime you play lacrosse at this level and you're missing 7 starters, which Penn State has lately, that's a lot. I mean, that is, you know, that's 70% of your lineup.
It's been a long, dry spell for the Nittany Lions. Top of the screen. Off the flip comes Costin. Picked up by Zapatello. Prabilski angles out against Michael Perrone and forces the turnover. But the loose ball hold's going to give the ball to Penn State.
It gives them the ball back and also will reset the shot clock. Referees look like they want to talk about it just to make sure everyone is on the same page.
Officials today, Matt Palem, Scott McCall, and Keith Glock.
Yeah, again, if you're Penn State, I like them attacking the shorties for Maryland, the way Sickler did back in the second quarter. You might want to stay away from Jake Higgins.
Ferrone with the ball, son of Michael and Heather. Dad was a goalie at New York Tech, Institute of Technology, D2 national champion back in the day.
Jack Cayley, head coach of New York Tech.
Oh, rough run there. Makar flattened Rayon. Ball stays with the Nittany Lions. Peden has good speed. Trying to turn the corner against the All-American Makar, though. No easy assignment. Renfleck, wrap check turned on by Higgins. That's another hold against Maryland. Not a time-serving foul, but a possession change for the Nittany Lions.
Look, I know Maryland fans don't like it. I mean, he jacks up the player, but he holds him. I mean, it's a hold. It's great defense.
Ferrone from deep. That was routine for McNaney off the bounce.
But a hold's a hold. When you take a guy down, it's a hold. But Maryland is just, in every phase of this game, has just been dominant.
Traditional ride here from Penn State. We thought that they might slap a 10-man ride on a time or two against Maryland. Maryland really performed admirably against Virginia's 10-man a weekend ago.
They've got shooters. I mean, we've seen McNaney, hum it from 60 yards. Ray Hill, 60-yard frozen rope shot a week ago against Virginia. They got shooters on the 10-man.
DeMeo and Long flick it on back. Donville coming late. Long, who has a hat trick. Kahn, who has 4. Bring it on around for DeMeo, who has a couple of goals. Getting fancy there behind the back on the pass. It comes up on the scoop for Keegan Kahn. Wisnauskas hiding. Nice look inside. Donville converts.
Maryland offense just continues to dissect and just really impress. Wisnauskas so patient, not a lot of pressure behind. Donville with the little flash cut right down the heart of the Penn State defense. Reads it, finds it, scores it. Maryland continues to roll heavy.
Dissect, you say. Maryland slicing and dicing. It's a lot of goals from everywhere, but they have been doing very well attacking from behind the net today.
Yeah, this is Bubba Fairman just, getting a good angle, playing fast. I mean, you said it. John Tillman told us this week in preparation for the game, he wants to play fast. And Maryland doesn't do anything slow. And there you had Bubba Fairman, Keegan Kahn, and Kyle Long getting to the front of the cage very quickly and then making quick decisions to score goals.
Coach will be pleased by that note at the bottom of the screen. An unselfish offense for this team has been the norm all year. Penn State now a drought of upwards of 17 minutes. There was a time there in the second quarter, this was a 5-3 game. After that, Maryland has ragdolled the Nittany Lions.
I really thought that Penn State was in a great spot after Will Peden made it 5-3. They were getting some defensive stops. They were getting some saves. Maryland was turning the ball over. Penn State seemed to be getting comfortable with the matchups and where they wanted to attack from, and then boom, Maryland just started coming, kept coming, and they haven't relented since.
This is our Big Ten opener on Big Ten Network, Mark Dixon. So take us around the conference. Maryland is already showing its offensive might. Have a peek at the rest of the squad.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins, after a dreadful weekend of losses to Navy and Delaware, retooled their lineup, and Jacob Angelis and Garrett Degnan, both with 3 goals apiece yesterday, as the Blue Jays pleased the homecoming crowd with a 15-12 victory over Michigan. And then Rutgers was behind in the first quarter to Ohio State 3-0. And then the Scarlet Knights just took over the game. Ross Scott, 7 points for that Scarlet Knight team. They boast Colin Kirst, maybe the best goaltender in the country. And the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are for real in 2022.
A Big Ten Conference breakdown while we enjoy Maryland and Penn State from Panzer Stadium on a very chilly Sunday night. Temperatures are hovering in the low to mid 20s. Yes, I said 20s. This is a spring sport, correct?
Tis. Hey,
Tis.
look, last week we had what, 75 degrees?
75 in Washington, D.C.
We were hot.
True.
We were hot.
In the booth.
Yeah. And now we're comfortable, but we know what's on the outside is not comfortable.
Oh, we've been outside here before, too. Hush, hush. I will speak no more of it. Molliver operating. Chorus again on the bouncer. That goes wide. The netminder is Jack Frassian, freshman who's come on for Alaric Fayok. Maryland in control of this game with a little bit less than 5 minutes to go in the third.
Yeah, you know, and we're talking about the Big Ten. We didn't say a whole lot about Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan, a team, 3 losses in a row, but they feature Zawada and Boehm are excellent scorers. Ryan Cohen is a terrific-looking freshman. Rowlett is a capable face-off man. And then you have an Ohio State team, as another goal was scored by Maryland Molliver. You know, then you have an Ohio State team that owns victories over North Carolina and Notre Dame. Jack Myers is the catalyst offensively, and they have an amazing freshman defender by the name of Bobby Van Buren that's really turning a lot of heads in the collegiate lacrosse world.
Back to this work from Molliver. 6th leading scorer for the Terrapins.
Yeah, he's a number 1 on a lot of teams around the country, but with this balance and depth that Maryland has, again, they just never stop moving. Their feet are always moving and going to the ball and trying to get plays. Molliver that time taking the feed from Wisnauskas and whipping it past Frassian.
Gavin Ty spelling Luke Weirman at the faceoff X. The second string draw man for the Terps gets Maryland the ball once more. Terps in the black jerseys led this one 4-1 after 15 minutes. At the half it was 11-3. It's now up to 16-3. An 11-goal run for the top-ranked team in the land. Diving effort, still going to go back to Penn State.
Again, amazing hustle by this Penn State defense. No quit. It's a proud team, proud coaching staff. I mean, you want to talk about a game within a game. Offensive coordinator John Hawes, a 2013 graduate, squaring off against his friend and teammate Jesse Bernhardt, his classmate from the University of Maryland. They played together professionally in the Premier Lacrosse League. They played on Team USA together.
Nittany Lions working offensively. It's Costin against Zapatello. Young defender whose game is maturing by leaps and bounds. He stays attached to Costin, who sent it wide of McNaney. McNaney comes rocketing out of the goal crease to collect the ground ball.
That's the deceptive thing about Logan McNaney. He's so small in stature. Those sweatpants look like they're 3 sizes too big for him. But he is an athlete. When he comes out of that crease, he has some speed. He's got stick work. He can shoot the ball 60 yards. He can throw great outlet passes. He is rounding into the total package for the University of Maryland.
McNaney, who scored shorthanded against Ohio State on Big Ten Network a season ago. Jeff Tambroni was saying, could his team play at Maryland's torrid pace? Could they set an edge? Could they set a perimeter? It's hard to do against this offense. Wisnowski's going again. Parnham there to defend on Kahn. Shot clock at 25. Point blank, put away. The Terps, who have scored 20 goals in 4 different games already, are making their way there again.
Eric Mulliver, for my money, a future #1 jersey wearer for the Maryland Terrapins. Just a little bit lucky here if you're Mulliver. I mean, hey, when you're good, sometimes you get lucky. DeMeo, shot, save, rebound, redirect. Mulliver, as my old soccer coach Buck Stork would say, name of the paper and date for the prom. Doesn't say how you scored the goal. It just says you scored the goal.
That he did. As McNaney and the Terps look to clear again, another face-off win for Gavin Ty. Ty's about 57% this season. The #1 guy in the hog pen, though, Luke Weirman, going to wind up being over 70% after his work tonight in barely 3/4 of action. Nittany Lions come running off the restart. Towns in the feed. This is a long-range bouncer from Costin that was fought off by McNaney. Ryan Townsend wearing number 16. That jersey holds great regard here at Penn State, honoring the late Connor Darcy.
Was able to watch the documentary 16 this week, and absolutely powerful and moving. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, I know it aired on our Big Ten Network prior to this game, but do yourself a favor, watch that. It was a very special young man, special family.
Whistle here. Ball being awarded back to Maryland after the crease violation. Time ticking down in the 3rd quarter. 1:25 with which to work. A failed clear for the Terps. Costin taking it to the goal. Unsettled. Rolls back into a double team. Gets away from Zappatello as Sickler looks cross field. Kelly giving the traffic instructions. Sickler fighting off a couple of defenders on a redodge now with 55 seconds to go in the quarter. Peden swims past Makar. The pass is not a good one. It'll be Maryland ball, chomping at the bit still, on the lead by 14. What was a 5-3 advantage. 12 unanswered now for the guys in black. Chorus, one of the ringleaders tonight for Maryland. He could easily have 5.
Yeah.
He's hit a couple of posts, missed the net a couple of times on the business end of some very nicely timed cuts to the cage.
I think the thing about Maryland is everybody does what they do well. Everybody seems to stay in their lane, try not to be too much in something that they're not.
Molliver tucks this one home. Molliver with the last 3 on the board in a row for Maryland. The words that Coach Tambroni was using, maturity and poise. He kept coming back to poise, describing how Maryland was operating this season.
And I think it's spot on. You know, Maryland has just really not been challenged. You know, Notre Dame was a tough game, 11-9 victory for the Terps. But for the most part, Maryland has imposed their will on every single opponent. Princeton played them tough, 15-10 loss, but the valley between Maryland and everyone else in college lacrosse right now is striking. Will it remain that way?
At the end of the quarter, McNaney adds to his save total. 3/4 of the way through regulation, and all Maryland. A Terps squad that has won its last 8 straight on the road. Well on its way to victory lane tonight on Big Ten Network. Here in Happy Valley, this is a live look at former Nittany Lions standout Grant Ament, who's being honored and respected tonight for his tremendous career in a Penn State jersey.
Rewrote the record books here at Penn State. Still remember seeing him as a freshman playing with the likes of Nick Aponte and some of the other terrific Penn State players, and he just took this program to another level. His feeding ability, his dodging ability, his ability to create and see through defenses, and Now we see him on the Premier Lacrosse League as a perennial all-star.
It's a world-class resume for Grant Amen. Look at the numbers, the Tuaraton finalist. I remember he had 96 assists in one season in 2019. That is hard to imagine.
I remember it was common for him to have, 7, 8, 9 assists in a game. The primary beneficiary, his partner in crime, Mac O'Keefe, graduated as the all-time NCAA goal-scoring leader. I mean, just a terrific Tama. But Grant Amen, I mean, what a special talent.
This Penn State squad this season, as you see the score tonight divvied up by quarters, back-to-back 7-goal frames for high-powered and top-ranked Maryland, as they are bludgeoning Penn State on enemy turf. Face-off win in possession for Hudson Bond. Bond, a guy who stood out to Coach Tambroni and those who were helping in the recruiting process for how hard he ran at the offensive end, how much he hustled after the draw was complete.
I think that's what we're seeing out of face-off men these days, especially with the standing neutral grip. You're seeing more athletes, and you're seeing better lacrosse players. You know, guys who can handle a stick, guys that can, when they exit and they pick it up, they can get it out of trouble. They can go to the goal and be an offensive threat. You know, much like attackmen, just scoring goals and feeding isn't enough. How do you rock? What's your compete level? For face-off men, that's something that coaches look at. Not only can you win a face-off, but what do you do after you win it? And what do you do if you don't win it?
That ball danced along the goal line and actually crossed it. It got past Drew Morris, who's come off the bench to sub in for Logan McNaney. Penn State ends a super long drought.
This team has not stopped competing, which will please the coaching staff of Penn State. Just an individual effort. Shot Morris, looked like he tracked it, but then just caromed off of what looked like his right ankle. And that is Matt Closton with the goal. Stops the bleeding momentarily for Penn State.
Penn State was whitewashed in that third quarter by Logan McNaney and his defensive buddies for Maryland. It's the fourth time Maryland has had a team go scoreless against them in 15 minutes. As we are in the fourth at Panzer Stadium, Buno plays it on for Birch. Lets it fly, and Morris eats that one up. Drew Morris, a grad student, serving as the understudy to Logan McNaney. Nils Barry has the ball off the deck for Penn State. This is a lively turf, is it not? We heard John Tillman say he was going to get the guys over here early in the morning to sort of get them used to the bounce of this field.
Yeah, he said it has a kick to it. You know, when you shoot those skip or bounce shots, it has a little bit extra spring, a little bit extra kick to it. And he wanted his guys to get used to it. They sure have.
Said it was different, unlike the Maryland Stadium turf.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, Maryland Stadium is maybe, and I don't want to use the word worn, but it's utilized more. You know, they play football there. Here, this is only men's and women's lacrosse. No football to really like mat it down. So maybe, I don't know. I'm definitely not a turf guy, but maybe that's one of the reasons it might have a little bit more bounce to it.
Plenty of subs coming off of the Maryland bench defensively now in the fourth quarter. With this issue, for the most part, no longer in doubt. Rolling back, Peden, covered up by Colin Burles. We see King Ripley, 50 in the black, a short stick defensive midfielder. Follow-up chance, tucked home. Nils Barry.
You know, this game might have been decided a little while ago, but it's so important for these young players to continue to progress, continue to get an opportunity to play and produce. Barry just is going to sneak inside after the pass, the shot deflects. It's Jack Kelly. Johnny on the spot. Barry picks it up, redirects it, and, you know, what might be considered to be, you know, extra time for some people watching this game. This is really important time to these student athletes. These are guys that typically work the scout team in practice, give the starters a great look, get them prepared for the opponent, so for them to be able to compete on this stage on Sunday night on Big Ten Network against a Big Ten opponent is a really big deal.
California native Nils Barry, son of Kevin and Trina, had a hat trick earlier in the year against Lafayette. Scored against Villanova. This Penn State squad at 2-6 wins indoors over Lafayette, and then they took out then number 5 Yale here by a 10-6 margin. It's been a rough run of late. 3-game losing skid prior to tonight. All 3 setbacks by a single goal. On the move, Hawes fires, and he stings the corner. Grant Hawes.
His brother's the offensive coordinator. I saw his father, John Sr., walking around a little earlier tonight. My defensive coach when I played at Johns Hopkins. Careless turnover by Maryland, just a terrible pass. Picked up by Hawes, head of steam, decides to post up and rips it to the far corner. Nice job, Grant Hawes.
You just went through the family lineage. Hawes, the junior, scored against Cornell earlier this season, so that's his second on the campaign. 3 unanswered for Penn State, making this an 18-6 ball game with a little bit more than 11 minutes with which to work in the fourth.
And right now, if you're Penn State, you want this to be a building block for the rest of your Big Ten competition. You know, it's pretty obvious that the Lions are going to fall to 2-7, but they've got to pick the pieces up. As you mentioned, short week. Have a Friday date out in Columbus in the shoe against an Ohio State Buckeye team that's going to be hungry, looking to get back on track after dropping their second straight game. Denver and Rutgers have been the last 2 weeks for the Buckeyes.
Kelly didn't come up cleanly there. Physical play continues near the midline. Ball down. Ground ball scooped there by Braden Peck, 3 times an academic All-Big Ten. Playing through some pain with a bandaged hand. Sickler sliding in, fires that one off of Morris on the side of the goal. Maryland takes over.
And for Maryland, again, this is a reward for guys who work hard all the time, getting an opportunity to play in this game, and this is a chance to make an impression on the coaching staff that they've been sitting all night. It's cold. Come in, be prepared to play, do some good things.
Long stick midfielder Jack McDonald took a pass from Garrett Gibbons. McDonald listed as the number 3 LSM for the Terps. Gibbons, you can go way down the list. There are so many really talented short stick D-mids at John Tillman's disposal.
It's really a luxury that he has. And when you consider Smith coming back from an injury, Josh Kaufman is yet to suit up in 2022. They got a lot of guys that can do a lot of special things.
9 in the black is Gabe Goforth, who had a tally against Albany earlier this season. That was a game that was played indoors. Jump shot that sent wide of the netminder Jack Frassian, who took over for Alaric Fayok back in the opening half. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew, both here and back in our Big Ten Network studios. The Terps and the Nittany Lions, all-time meeting number 40. Birch lets this one go high. The song remains the same in a season series that is all-time led by Maryland. It's hard to say, 38-1.
It's been domination in terms of the series, but man, we've had some great games between these two teams. Overtimes, down to the last minute, last play.
Time for us to take a little TV timeout. Coach Tambroni gets his boys into the classroom. We'll continue with a fourth right after this. As we lift the lid on Sunday Night Lacrosse on Big Ten Network tonight, next week it's Johns Hopkins and Rutgers' turn.
What a great series this has been. It'll be up in Piscataway, home of the infamous horn, Joe.
I remember that.
After the goals are scored.
Never ending.
Greatest horn. But, you look at Hopkins and Rutgers, both of those teams won this weekend. Positive starts to their Big Ten season, their Big Ten campaigns. Ross Scott, Mitch Bartolo for Rutgers, Jacob Angelis, Connor DeSimone for the Blue Jays. Penn State, Ohio State, we touched on that one a little earlier. Maryland, Michigan. The Wolverines are licking their chops to get the Terps into Ann Arbor and try to stun the #1 ranked team in the land. So Maryland, from this point forward, as they have, ever since the season started, a target on their back. They're going to get their opponent's best week in and week out.
Maryland and Penn State, their Big Ten conference opener tonight on Big Ten Network. Terps in control. A pass to the interior for Sickler, taken from Harm. In the nets now for Maryland is Drew Morris. Mopped up for about 4 minutes last weekend in the big win over Virginia. Connecting at the offensive end, Gibbons brings it along for Maryland. This Terps team, a dozen or more goals in 31 of its last 32 games. Closing in again, perhaps on 20. They have scored 20-plus goals in 4 of 7 outings so far this season. The offense has been a runaway train. Kevin Tucker off the bench wears 35 in the black. Just below 8 minutes remaining in the fourth. Molliver still seeing time. Lumped in with the reserves. Molliver, who had a 3-goal run for himself in the third quarter. Turnover here. Barry takes it for Penn State.
And Nittany Lions right now scored a couple of goals, stopped the bleeding. Have to feel good, silver lining, small victories. Have to feel good about this fourth quarter.
Birch fires, good kick out save there. They hustle to the sideline. They'll award the ball to Penn State. Penn State is 1-3 all time when facing the #1 team in the nation. The win was over Denver 6 years ago yesterday.
Yeah, and this Penn State team moving forward, first and foremost, you got to get guys healthy. They've been bitten by the injury bug in a major fashion thus far. And with the guys you have to work with, Jeff Tambroni told us this week, him and his coaching staff, they've had to change their approach a little bit. There's more teaching going on. And that'll continue as players continue to miss time. And the kid, you can see Jeff Tambroni, when we cut to him on the sideline, he's patting guys on the back. He's not laughing, but he's smiling, he's encouraging. That's what you have to do when you have a night like this against the #1 team in the country, that you were in it for a quarter and a half and then things just got away from you.
Molliver on the go. Tracked down defensively. Siracusa rolling back against Sweeney. 38 in the black has been really pushing for playing time, trying to get into that second midfield line. Goforth turns the corner, had that one blocked. Molliver there to keep possession for the Terps with the 12 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Charging in against J.B. Strachan, 13 in the white for Penn State. Nice passing play, and Frassian eats that one up. Loops it over the top, starts Aldridge the other way. Sweeney fires off the crossbar. So hard for goalies to read the release on a shot from a long stick.
And it looked like Morris got a piece of it down low, and then it just kicked up. I mean, much like John Tillman said about this turf, it just kicked up and almost nestled underneath the crossbar.
Tucker brings it towards the midline. Maryland, 18 goals, all of them scored in the first 3 quarters. Taking their foot off the gas and seeing Penn State strike 3 times in this final frame. Terps will get their attention set for Michigan. That game coming up on Saturday. Losing possession here. Parnham brings it along. Aldridge on the bouncer. Morris with a denial. Penn State has the rebound. It's Canyon Birch. Ran into the double. Nils Barry fires and scores. Nils Barry has a good-looking left-handed release.
We've seen Canyon Birch do this a couple times tonight. Gets deep into the defense, kind of gets hung up, but some way, somehow, he has a chance to get, he has the wherewithal to get rid of the ball, and here he's just going to flick it to Birch. And Birch does a smart thing. He cocks it and then uses the defender as a screen. Morris had a tough time picking that one up, and the Penn State Nittany Lions continue to play hard.
Nils Barry, cousin Katrina, played at Duke. Terps. Gavin Ty comes up with a face-off win. Morris slinging this one on target for Gibbons to run. Garrett Gibbons transitioning the ball from defense to offense with 4 minutes to go in the fourth. All 4 goals in the frame belonging to Penn State. Siracusa against Townsend. Here comes help from Parnham. Parnham, another guy who's had to get acclimated and become very comfortable with a sort of a #1 defensive role well ahead of schedule.
It's going to pay dividends down the road for this Penn State team. But again, the key is confidence. You know, the coaches, teammates, they have to keep the confidence of these young men up as they really have been experiencing a baptism by fire.
Looking for Maltz. Back behind the cage it comes. Molliver. Shot clock at 2. It'll be a violation against Maryland.
Yeah, Penn State, Ohio State, Friday night, Big Ten plus. 2 teams that are going to be looking to right the ship. Ohio State having a little bit of controversy between the pipes, and Penn State has some goalie question marks as well, so they line up in that regard. Really good look. You want to talk about good looking freshman, Bobby Van Buren, defender for Ohio State. Face-off man Justin Inacio is a special talent. This Penn State team, they're going to get back to work. Short week and then make the trip out to the shoe. They'll be ready to play.
Ferrone off the sweep. What's it like to shoot in a stadium that's that big?
The biggest stadium I ever played. Oh, wow.
Nice play there, tiptoeing the line. Does it count? Crease violation against Will Pete.
A great individual effort. Not sure if his foot hit the crease line or if any part of his body touched the goal mouth. That taco-shaped configuration in front of the goal line. Biggest stadium I ever played in was then Byrd Stadium, now Maryland Stadium. And that one didn't compare to the shoe. The shoe just has those aluminum bleachers that kind of blend in. Carry Dome is another one that was a big venue that used to take a minute to get your sight lines squared away. As a shooter, it's great. I mean, you know what you're looking at. You're looking at an orange pipes and a white net. If you're a goaltender, it's going to take you a few extra minutes and maybe a few extra shots to pick up that ball against the backdrop of aluminum seats or white background or anything that might distort your vision, your clear vision to the ball.
Wicked shot there, rings the iron. We've seen Dawson Wynn get into the lineup for Maryland. This is Peden a few moments ago.
Yeah, great call by the ref. Good mechanic. Both officials worked together to call that a no goal, and they got it right.
Ground ball scoop from Gibbons in the final minutes of regulation. A Maryland team that has won its last 35 games when they've surrendered less than 10 goals. They've limited Penn State to 7. They're on their way to win number 8 out of 8 this season. The #1 team in the land unanimous #1, 6 straight weeks on top of the polls. Very, very impressive over the first 3 quarters in particular.
It'll be interesting to see how the poll shakes out this week. You have your #3 team, Princeton, lost. #4, Cornell, lost. Virginia got back on track with a nice home victory over Notre Dame. Rutgers is at that #6 spot. I could see them moving up out of that position.
Celebration has begun on the sideline for the Terps and for the moms and dads and friends who are in the stands supporting the Terrapins. All Maryland in this one by the final counts of 18-7.
A dominant performance. Maryland took a little bit getting started, then they got out to that 4-1 lead. Penn State was able to make it 5-3, and I really thought that the Nittany Lions were comfortable, they were engaged, and they had cracked the code, if you will. And then Maryland, just doing Maryland things, went on that 10-goal run, established a really an insurmountable cushion, and the Terps just continue to impress and show off that they are perhaps the team to beat, not just in the Big Ten, but in the rest of college lacrosse Division I level. They are the team to beat.
John Tillman was preaching throughout the week to his team to stay focused, to be ready, to avoid a letdown. This is a very impressive showing in that sense that they could quite easily have read their own press clippings after really taking it to Virginia and said, you know what, let's just show up at Penn State. They didn't. They worked very effectively. And
they played fast. They played with urgency. Every time they picked up a ground ball, they were getting it up the field. Every time they were in the 6-on-6, they went hard to the goal. Whenever they cut, whenever they slid, everything was done with energy and celerity. And it really, really was impressive.
Maryland by 11. The top-ranked team comes to Penn State, wins its 9th straight road game. Mark and I have a few loose ends to tie up with you. We'll get you back on Big Ten Network. At one point in the second quarter, this was a 5-3 Maryland lead, and then the #1 ranked team turned it on. 12 unanswered, rolling to what turns out to be an 18-7 final in the Big Ten opener for both of these schools, Maryland and Penn State. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you on Big Ten Network. And when we focus in on Maryland, you can look a lot of different places for offense. We always start with #1, Logan Wisnauskas. And tonight, Mark, he was more of a facilitator.
He was, and that's what great players do. They recognize when they're needed, what they have to do to be successful. And Wisnauskas tonight, you know, kind of took a back seat to Kyle Long and Keegan Kahn, but he's still there when you need him. Great feeding ability this evening. Didn't really have to dodge, but when he did, he still had his head up, eyes up, scanning the field, getting it to players. So Logan Wisnauskas, he really defines complete when you look at Maryland lacrosse players. I mean, he came to College Park, transferred in from Syracuse as a shooter. That's what he was known as. Now he's a distributor, he's a facilitator, he's still a shooter, but I think most importantly, Joe, he's a leader, and he's the leader of this Maryland team.
Penn State will look to make amends for this setback next week. Their next game coming up against Ohio State. It'll be this coming Friday. Maryland, a convincing 18-7 advantage, with 18 of those goals coming in the first 3 quarters. Logan Wisnauskas is kind enough to stop by with us and spend a few moments with us in the wake of this win. And Logan, what was clicking so effectively for you and your team offensively tonight?
Oh, one more time.
Logan, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I got you.
What was working so effectively for your team offensively today?
Oh yeah, you know, we were just clicking off ball. We were really moving. Putting emphasis on that all week. You know, Keegan played a really good game. You know, dodging his matchup and stuff. He really won his matchup. You know, that was good for us in the first half, in the third quarter.
Logan, you wear the #1. You're a competitor. You work so hard. How difficult, or maybe not difficult, is it when, you know, you have a quiet 5 points? You know, you're there when it's needed, but when you see Keegan Kahn going off, Kyle Long, Is it difficult to sit back and let the game come to you and kind of fit in where you get in?
No, it's not difficult at all when you got those guys around you. You know, Kyle's an excellent player. You know, Keegan's, you know, coming into his own, as you saw last week against Virginia, you know, really winning his matchup against the Saulstead kid. And then this week, you know, he's really coming into his own and stuff. You know, he's not thinking as much, and he's just playing his game, and it's really fun to watch.
Luke Weirman is a player that's just taken his game to another level. How would you best describe being his teammate and being the beneficiary of some extra possessions because of his great work?
Yeah, you know, Luke's awesome. You know, he's a warrior and stuff. You know, dating back to last season and stuff, he's come out and he's made like a total 180 and stuff. You know, he's fighting for ground balls and stuff. He's not afraid to step in and shoot it, and what you saw tonight, and it's been awesome to see.
Logan, we can see you shivering down there. Just one last question while the snow starts to fall around you. This team was so effective and so impressive in the win over Virginia. You come back and you validate that tonight in a Big Ten opener against Penn State. Who keeps this team grounded? Who makes these guys, who makes your squad avoid looking at the press clippings about how good Maryland is?
Yeah, you know, we talk about it all the time, like don't listen to the rat poison and stuff. You know, the media will tell you what you want to hear and stuff. You know, we come out every week and we just focus on winning that week and stuff, and we just focus on the opponent we're playing next week, which is Michigan. It'll be a huge game for us up there, and you know, we're looking forward to the challenge.
Logan Wisnauskas, thanks very much for spending time with us. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
The Terps rolling over Penn State here at Panzer Stadium. They huddled up and they fired up offensively for an 18-7 win. For Mark Dixon, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati, thanks.